Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today I'm going to talk on why do students not succeed. One of the main reasons I selected this topic was because I've been teaching undergrad students for almost more than a decade now, and I've been involved in teaching the adult students in MME program for last 7 years now. So I've been seeing this journey of students that some students, especially in their postgrad programs, they're not able to eventually complete the program. So, I'm going to introduce you different types of students. And putting it bold, this is all about why students fail. Fail in completing a task, fail in exams, and failure in completing a degree. So I'll introduce you to some types of students. And what I want you, the perspective of you when you're going through my slides is you see them as a student and as a teacher. Because most of you sitting here are teachers as well, and they are students as well. So types of students I'm going to talk about is, today I'm going to talk about types of adult students. Okay, so there's a disclaimer to it as well, and that is any similarity to any person is incidental. But if you find that it closely resembles you, please follow the advice. Okay, so that's important. Okay, fine. So as you can see from here, there is a type of student who has nothing to do on his to-do list. He's a potato couch. He's so lazy, he's like typing from his sofa, and he lacks motivation. So this is a type of student who's a lazy student. So, this lack of motivation, they'll do their assignments, they copy-paste from the seniors. They'll say, they even write, I don't know, or I cannot do it, just to fill up the space saying that, at least I've done something. So why do they fail? It's very obvious. They fail because they don't work, they waste their time, and they're demotivated. So what's my advice for them is work hard. So they need to work hard. They need to know the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. So if you just put a little extra to your hard work, what will happen is you'll surprise yourself. I'm telling you that. Just come out of your laziness and you can go through. Then there's this diligent student, the one who comes well prepared in the class, who is actually ready with lots of questions. But why do they fail? The reason is that they are focusing too much on the trees rather than onto the forest itself. So they lose the holistic picture. And they are actually not preparing themselves for exams. And when the exams come, they're overstressed. So for them, the advice is take a walk, relax. You need to be diligent, but not to a level where you go into those details which are not required for the exam. And also you need to know that exams are not the end of the world. So then we have this type of student, which is actually the most difficult one. The one who is know-it-all student. He would tell you, I know it all. So please, you don't need to tell me. So what they would say, just ask them when it's time to learn something useful. They usually miss it because they're so busy telling you what they know. So their problem is, I know. So if you have this student who thinks he's Albert Einstein, just imagine how can you actually, teach him. So why do they fail? They fail because they're not listening to you. And then also, they need to know that wisdom and knowledge, they are not synonymous. You may have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't have wisdom to use that knowledge, you are a failure. And, as God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, you need to listen twice as much as you speak. So you may surprise yourself if you listen to what your teacher is saying, that you're learning something new. Then you have this class clown. By the way, this is, Trump. He's been made as clown. So if you haven't recognized him, just saying this is Trump. So, every class has one class, a class clown in a class. What they do is, they'll try to make fun of things. But the problem is, why are they doing it? It's because they're trying to hide their academic abilities. And they don't know when enough is enough. So they don't know when enough is enough. For them, laughter is everything. So they'll say, life's short, let's have fun. So why they fail? These students, unfortunately, are weak students. Okay? They do put effort into their work, but they usually produce marginal results. They become discouraged, and then they stop trying. So for them, if you're a class clown, make learning fun. Try to find fun in learning. After all, failure is nothing to laugh about. Okay? So then there's this one, who's a whiner. You'll get these students, I'm telling you. You'll get a whiner, it would say, that's not fair. I have been, it wasn't my job. Why didn't I get picked? This is not fair with me. So a lot of whining from them. So what happens to the whiner? Why do they fail? It's because they're concentrating on wrong things. So the advice is, concentrate and get focused on what is important for you. As Alexander Graham Bell said, the sun rays do not burn until brought to a focus. So you need to focus. And if you want to whine or complain, if you really want to whine or complain, either become a member of National Assembly, or if you're not married, get married. So there are other ways to whine. And somebody suggested you put a charge on it. And if somebody is whining, ask them to pay. There should be a punishment for it. So that's another way of stopping. Then there's another class, which is blamers. It's a step ahead. They'll keep themselves calm. They'll not take the responsibility. They'll blame you or they'll blame others. So they are one step beyond whiners. They have a victim mentality. It's not my fault. It's not my fault, sir. What they will say, they'll not accept the responsibility. They can put the responsibility on events. They can put the responsibility even on foreign governments, whatever they want. But they'll not accept the responsibility. So if you don't accept the responsibility and you point a finger to someone else, please remember that the three fingers pointing towards you as well. So for them, the advice is stop blaming and start taking responsibility. And then this is a student. And if you see this clip art, he's a worrier. He's always worried. This is a unique class of students. These students are strong students, not weak students, but they lack confidence. They waste so much energy about worrying about wrong things. They tend to overemphasize the importance of an exam. So they need to change their perspective. They need to see not the half glass empty, but the half glass full. And be a warrior and not a worrier. So for them, that's the message. So the disclaimer again, actually. So, any similarity till now was purely incidental. But if you found that, it was meant for any one of us, please follow the advice. Then you can see that there is actually a weak student who needs help. Because, there were other types of students, but this is actually a weak student who needs help. Because there are weak students. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. They would say it's too hard for them or they cannot do it. They need scaffolding. They'll shy away from the teacher. But why do these students fail? The reason is these students at times are not that weak that they're picked up by teachers. They go undetected. They're never so weak that they call the attention of their teachers, but by the time they get to their exams, they have larger gaps in their knowledge. So for them, the advice is, you need to take an example from the bodybuilders. So you need to build your muscles. When I say when you need to build your muscles, it means you need to find the gaps, you need to find those areas which are weaker areas, and then you need to strengthen them. It's just a straightforward way of becoming a good student. Then this one is a really bad one, actually. This is an obstinate student. And when I say obstinate student, is not listening to a word the teacher says. He actually believes that, he is even better than the teacher. And he would say, your way is nice, but I like my way better. Okay, this is what he's thinking. I'll agree now, but I think I'm right. Just think, if you have an obstinate student, he would actually believe he's right, and that's one of the reasons he fails. What happens is, he's going to argue with you on those concepts that he thinks is right. And when the exam comes or the assignment comes, he'll put those flawed ideas in the assignments. Because he would remember those discussions and thinking that he was right, he still maintains that concept. That is why he fails. The advice for them would be, please grow up and listen to your teacher. Stop fighting over little things of little importance, and put your stubbornness to work by actually learning. So if you have strength, if you're stubborn enough, put that to learning. And this one is really interesting. So are you a smarty pants? So what would he do? He will keep you asking lots of questions. He would have questions about everything except those questions which are really important. So, they ask questions to show how smart they are. Not to learn anything that has anything to do with the lesson. Their questions are not geared towards learning, but to show the class how smart they are. So what they need to do, why they fail back, actually, because these are those students with a combination of a bit of lazy, bit of obstinate, they procrastinate, make things, put things to later events, and eventually becomes a blamer. So, as I said, why they fail, it's because I've already told you, but they should try limiting the questions to relevant material. Don't wait for the last minute that you can cram, and actually prove through their actions that action speaks louder than words. And as you can see from here, the number 12 is, who puts all the things on his schedule to later. The one who procrastinate. And most of us do that. We would say, we will do this later on, and then later never comes. So they tend to wait until the very last minute to do everything. They're often good students once they get to work. And I think this is one of the very common thing, at least with the good students. They, wait for the last minute, and by the time, they start studying, it's too late. So that's one of the reasons they fail. So for them, the advice is please don't procrastinate. And then this is, a good student. Sometimes these good students they'll do their work, they'll come to the class prepared on time, they'll participate, they'll question their mistakes, they'll learn. But then why do they fail? The life is, unfair. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. This is, what happens in reality. But, what can you do is do maximum what is in your hands. So, if you want to get success, the road to it is knowledge, hardworking, sincerity, humility, and as Edison said, no one is actually weak. If you want to be a genius, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. The take-home message is work, work, and work. Thank you very much.